Every city has a dark side. Stories hidden behind locked doors and silent streets. What you're about to hear is not a rumor. It's not a myth. It's a true crime that began like any ordinary day and ended in a mystery that still haunts this place. The people involved never imagined one decision, one moment, would change everything forever. Tonight we uncover the truth buried in silence. Chicago is a city of contrast. By day, it's alive with movement-crowded sidewalks, rushing trains, and the constant hum of ambition. But when night falls, the city changes. Lights glow against the darkness, shadows stretch across empty streets, and secrets come alive. This story begins on one of those nights. Just after midnight, in a quiet neighborhood on the south side, a single gunshot echoed through the cold air. It was sharp, sudden, final within minutes. Flashing lights cut through the darkness as police cars arrived at a small brick apartment building near State Street. Inside, officers found a man lying on the floor of a modest living room. No sign of forced entry, no signs of a struggle, just silence and one unanswered question: who pulled the trigger? The victim was Marcus Hill, 34 years old. To his neighbors, Marcus was quiet. He worked long hours at a local warehouse and kept to himself. No criminal record, no known enemies. At first glance, it looked like a random act of violence, another statistic in a city that had seen too many. But detectives knew better. Chicago doesn't give up its secrets easily. Hartman told a story. A half-finished meal sat cold on the table. His phone was missing, and the window facing the alley was slightly open, despite the freezing winter air. That detail mattered. Detective Angela Ruiz had worked homicide for 12 years. She had learned to trust her instinct, saying something about this scene didn't sit right. This wasn't a robbery, nothing else was taken, and Marcus hadn't been surprised. Whoever came through that door, he let them in. Investigators began by retracing Marcus's last day. Security footage from the warehouse showed him clocking out at 9:47 p.m. He looked normal. No arguments, no tension. But another camera across the street from his apartment revealed something else. At 10:32 p.m., Marcus arrived home. At 11:08 p.m., another figure appeared hood up, hands in pockets, entered the building. They never appeared on camera again. That was the moment the case changed. Detectives canvassed the building. Most residents heard nothing. But an elderly woman on the third floor remembered footsteps on the stairs, slow and deliberate. Not running, not panicked. Purposeful. The next break came from Marcus's phone records. Hours before his death, he had received multiple calls from the same number. The name attached to it was Derek Coleman. Derek was an old friend. They grew up in the same neighborhood, but their lives had taken very different paths. Derek Coleman had a record, drug charges, assault, and a reputation that followed him wherever he went. When police brought him in for questioning, he didn't deny knowing Marcus and being there. Derek claimed he hadn't seen Marcus in months, said they had a falling out over money, but insisted it was old news. Detectives pressed harder. Why call him 5 times that night? Derek paused, then he said something that made the room go quiet. He had something that didn't belong to him. According to Derek, Marcus had recently gotten involved with the wrong people. A package. Something valuable, something dangerous, but Derek refused to say more. Fear had replaced confidence. Police dug deeper. They discovered Marcus had recently started making extra money, far more than his warehouse job could explain. Small deposits, frequent, carefully spaced. Someone was paying him. The theory became clear. Marcus wasn't the target. He was the middleman. As detectives widened the investigation, surveillance footage from a nearby alley surfaced. The quality was poor, but it showed a hooded figure leaving the building around 11:14 p.m. The walk was calm, unhurried. The person disappeared into the maze of Chicago streets. Then came the mistake. The figure passed beneath a streetlight just long enough for the camera to catch a glimpse of a tattoo on the wrist, a distinctive symbol, one known to Chicago police. It belonged to a small but violent crew operating along the south side. A group that didn't forgive mistakes and didn't leave witnesses. Detectives finally understood. Marcus had tried to get out. Phone data confirmed it. His last call unanswered was to Derek, a desperate attempt to fix something that had already gone too far. Days later, police arrested a man named Leon Brooks. He was a known enforcer for the crew, and he had that tattoo. During the interrogation, Leon stayed silent until they showed him the footage. Leon didn't confess, but he didn't deny it either. At trial, the prosecution laid out the story piece by piece. The calls, the money, the footage. Marcus Hill had made a choice. And in Chicago, choices can be fatal. Leon Brooks was convicted of second-degree murder. But even after the verdict, questions remained. Who ordered it? Who else was involved? Those answers stayed buried in the city. Today, Marcus's apartment is occupied by someone new. The streets outside are just as busy as ever, and the trains still run through the night. Chicago moves on, always does. But somewhere between the noise and the neon lights, the truth still lingers. A reminder that in this city, the shadows are never empty. In cities like this, the night never truly sleeps. Streets grow quiet, lights fade, and the truth slips back into the shadows. Some questions are answered, others are buried forever. This was not just a story of crime, it was a reminder that darkness can exist anywhere. And somewhere right now, another story is waiting to be told. If you want more true crime stories from the shadows of the city, subscribe and stay curious.